Good morning, everybody in Year 5. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of February 2021, and we are looking at some more reading today of Journey to Joburg by Beverly Naidu. So today we're going to be looking at reading in unison or choral reading as you read alongside me. And once again, I really love to hear you reading along from the text at some point on Seesaw also. Okay, so before we get into our reading, we always must do our do now. So here we go. Right, so I have attached it to your home learning sheet once again. However, there's absolutely no need to print it off if you don't have a printer or if you don't want to, as your presentation last week was absolutely superb. So the do now is here. In a moment, you can pause the video. You need to just choose which reason is the most appropriate, and then you need to give your explanation. I will then reveal the answers and talk through some various explanations in a moment. So pause the video here and complete the do now. Okay, well done. So let's have a look at the answers. In what situation would I retort? Now, I wouldn't retort if I was calm. I'd probably retort if I felt angry. So an explanation there, you could say that retort means to give a witty, argumentative, angry response to a situation or to someone. So if you were calm, the word retort would not be appropriate, but if you were angry, it would be. So whatever explanation you have, as long as it gives a clear meaning for retort and how it works in that context, then that is absolutely fine. You can give yourself a tick. Number 2, which explanation best describes the word clutched? To hold tightly or to grab aggressively? Now that was a little bit of a tricky one, but the answer is to hold tightly. If you clutch something, you're holding it tightly, but to grab something is a bit different to clutching. So well done if you got that one correct. And finally, number 3, which sentence below uses the word bewildered correctly? I was bewildered by the task as I had not listened properly, or I was bewildered once everything had been explained clearly. Now you could probably be bewildered if everything was explained clearly still, but you're more likely to be bewildered if you had not listened. You would be confused as you had not paid attention. So well done for that, and make sure you have an explanation to support your answer. Great work. So that's the do now done. If you need an extra couple of seconds, then just pause here. Otherwise, we're going on to choral reading of the text where you read alongside me. Now, as I always say, when we're doing this type of reading, you can turn down the volume on this video slightly so I don't drown you out, but you are reading along, thinking about how to adhere to punctuation, how to build your fluency, how to build intonation and expression. And also today I'm going to add in something else. As you read, try and imagine what can you see, what is the imagery in your head, what can you visualize? Because yesterday we did a task as the extension of drawing what we could visualize. Today we're really going to think about that throughout because it helps with our questions later on. So, number 1, Naledi's plan. Reading together in 3, 2, 1. Naledi and Tiro were worried. Their baby sister Dinyo was ill, very ill. For 3 days now, Nano, their granny, had been trying to cool her fever with damp cloths placed on her little head and body. Mgoanwe, their auntie, made her take sips of water, but still their sister lay hot and restless, crying softly at times. Can't we take Dinyo to the hospital? Naledi begged, but Nano said Dinyo was much too sick to be carried that far. The only hospital was many kilometers away, and Naledi also knew they had no money to pay a doctor to visit them. No one in the village had that much money. If only Ma was here, Naledi wished over and over as she and Tiro walked down to the village tap with their empty buckets. She clutched tightly at the coins in her hand. Each morning the children had to pass the place of the graves on their way to buy the day's water, and only last week another baby in the village had died. It was always scary seeing the little graves, but especially this fresh one now. As they came nearer, Naledi fixed her eyes on the ground ahead, trying not to look, trying not to think. But it was no use. She just couldn't stop herself thinking of her own little sister being lowered into a hole in the ground. So we can really visualize here Naledi walking along with Tiro as they pass the graves, and Naledi's head going down, trying not to look, trying not to think about Dinyo dying, but really struggling not to let those thoughts enter her head. Okay, we're going to continue in 3, 2, 1. Finally, Naledi could stand it no longer. When they had returned with the water, she called Tiro to the back of the house and spoke bluntly. "We must get Ma, or Dinio is going to die." "But how?" Tiro was bewildered. Their mother worked and lived in Johannesburg, more than 300 kilometres away. "We can get to the big road and walk," Naledi replied calmly. It was the school holidays now, but in term time it took the children more than an hour to walk to school each day, so they were used to walking. Naledi wasn't going to let herself think how much longer it would take to get to Johannesburg. However, Tiro was not so sure. "But Nono doesn't want us to worry, Ma, and I know she won't let us go." "That's just it," Naledi retorted quickly. "Nono and Mgwanwe keep saying Dinio will be better soon. You heard them talking last night. They say they don't want to send Ma a telegram and frighten her. What if they wait and it's too late?" Tiro thought for a moment. "Can't we send Ma a telegram?" "How can we if we have no money? And if we borrow some, Nana will hear about it and be very cross with us." It was clear that Naledi had made up her mind, and Tiro knew his sister. She was 4 years older than him, already 13, and once she had decided something, that was that. So Tiro gave up reasoning. The children went to find Naledi's friend Peleng and explained. Peleng was very surprised but agreed to help. She would tell Nano once the children had gone, and she also promised to help their granny, bringing the water and doing the other jobs. "How will you eat on the way?" Peleng asked. Tiro looked worried, but Naledi was confident. "Oh, we'll find something." Peleng told them to wait and ran into her house, returning soon with a couple of sweet potatoes and a bottle of water. The children thanked her. She was indeed a good friend. Okay, so what can you visualize here? Yeah, so what I can see is Peleng and Naledi and Tiro all talking, Tiro looking worried, Naledi being confident, Peleng a bit surprised, but then running into the house and getting some food and water for them. So that's what I can see in my mind. Okay, we're going to continue in 3, 2, 1. Before they could go, Naledi had to get the last letter Ma had sent, so they would know where to look for her in the big city. Slipping into the house, Naledi took the letter quietly from the tin without Nano or Mgwanwe noticing. Both were busy with Dinio as Naledi slipped out again. Chapter 2, The Road. So I'm going to give you a challenge. You're going to read all of the first page of chapter 2, and then you're going to press play again when you're ready to continue. So pause the video here, reading aloud the first page of chapter 2. Okay, fantastic. 3, 2, 1, together. "Let's walk at the side," Tiro suggested. The grass was dry and scratchy, but they were used to it now. Now and again, a car or a truck roared by, and then the road was quiet again, and they were alone. Naledi began to sing the words of her favourite tune, and Tiro was soon joining in. On they walked. "Can't we stop and eat?" Tiro was beginning to feel sharp stabs of hunger, but Naledi wanted to go on until they reached the top of the long, low hill ahead. Their legs slowed down as they began the walk uphill, their bodies feeling heavy. At last they came to the top and flopped down to rest. Hungrily they ate their sweet potatoes and drank the water. The air was hot and still. Some birds skimmed lightly across the sky as they gazed down at the long road ahead. It stretched into the distance, between fenced-off fields and dry grass, up to another far-off hill. "Come on, we must get on," Naledi insisted, pulling herself up quickly. She could tell that Tiro was already tired, but they couldn't afford to stop for long. Okay, reading from here in 3, 2, 1. The sun had already passed its midday position, and they didn't seem to have travelled very far. On they walked, steadily, singing to break the silence. But in the middle of the afternoon, when the road led into a small town, they stopped singing and began to walk a little faster. They were afraid a policeman might stop them because they were strangers. Policemen were dangerous. Even in their village they knew that. The older children at school had made up a song. So you are going to sing the song today. So pause the video here, sing that song, and then press play when you're ready to read the final bit with me. Okay, reading the final bit in 3, 2, 1. Grown-ups were always talking about this pass. If you wanted to visit some place, the pass must allow it. If you wanted to change your job, the pass must allow it. It seemed everyone in school knew somebody who had been in trouble over the pass. Okay, well done for following along for that and for adding in visualization. It's going to be really important now when we come to looking at some word meaning questions. So, I am going to model the first one, and then you are going to go away and do the rest. So, like last week, I have them all displayed on this PowerPoint and this video, so you can just watch the video and write down your answer neatly as you did last week, as you all did to such a high standard. However, I've also attached a task sheet. It's not a worksheet, it's just a task sheet with a list of questions if you need to refer to that as well. However, I would encourage you just to keep watching the video, as I will go through the answers at the same time, and you can mark your work, make any fixes that you need before uploading to Seesaw. So, question 1 is my turn. At last they came to the top and flopped down to rest. What is the closest in meaning to the words flopped down? So, using my skill of visualization and imagining what is happening, I'm going to think about what I can see. At last they came to the top and flopped down to rest. So at last, that means suggests they're tired. They've got to the top of this hill and they have flopped down to rest. They've taken a rest. So I can see them falling to the ground and lying down. So, is it lay down, fell over, bent down, went to sleep? I know it's not went to sleep. I know it's not bent down. I don't think they fell over when they flopped down to rest. They just kind of let their bodies come to the ground and they lay down for a rest. So I think the answer is lay down. So that's what I would write down in my book or circle. And I'm now going to check my answer. And yes, I am correct. It was lay down. So you are going to do the same for the next few word meaning questions before we then go on to look at fact or opinion and more comprehension. Okay, so the pause sign is here for you to pause the video. If you have the task sheet next to you, that's fine. However, just please continue watching the video as it will reveal the answers like I've just modelled. So, question 2, page 23. If only we had some money to buy tickets for the train. We don't even have 1 cent. Tiro sighed. What does the word sighed suggest about how Tiro is feeling? Is he anxious, scared, tired, or frustrated? So try and imagine what is happening in the story at this point to work out what this word suggests about how Tiro is feeling. Remember, it's about this context. It's not about what side means from a dictionary. So pause the video here and then write down your answer. Okay, the answer is frustrated. Now, you may have said tired, but I know from this context that he's getting fed up, which would mean frustrated. So that's how I know, because I've read around the words, I've read the text, and I'm imagining what's happening. Number 2, or number 3 rather, when you include my turn. Number 3, what does the phrase, once she had decided something, that was it, suggest about Naledi's character? Does it mean she's decisive, she's stubborn, she's ignorant, or she's arrogant? Pause the video here and reveal the answer when you're ready. Well done. That would mean that she is stubborn. Excellent work. Number 4. Look at page 20. Page 20 is here. Find and copy one word that tells us that the coins that Naledi was holding were valuable to her. So you're going to have to read around page 20 and find out one word that shows me that the coins that Naledi was holding was valuable. Pause the video here and have a look. Clutched. Well done. If you clutch something, you probably care about it or it is valuable to you. Well done. Number 5. What phrase suggests that Tiro saw no point in arguing with Naledi on page 21? So here's a snip of page 21. What phrase suggests Tiro saw no point in arguing with Naledi? Pause the video here, find your answer. It is, so Tiro gave up reasoning with her, or gave up reasoning would also be an acceptable answer. So well done, tick or fix, mark your work. Okay, that's the end of our word meaning questions. We're now going to look at fact or opinion. So I'm going to show you a list of statements. You're going to decide whether they're a fact or an opinion. Naledi is 4 years older than her brother. Pause the video here and write down whether that is a fact or an opinion. Yes, it is a fact. Well done. Number 2, Dinio won't die. Fact or opinion? Pause the video, write down your answer. Yes, it's an opinion. Well done. Number 3, Pauline gave the children sweet potatoes and water. Fact or opinion? Pause the video. Yes, it is a fact. It is a fact. Well done. Finally, number 4, Naledi thinks the best place for Dinio is the hospital. Fact or opinion? Pause the video. opinion. Well done. Great work. So we've done fact or opinion, we've done word meaning. Let's look at some comprehension style questions. Okay, the first one. Here's the text, here's the word. Page 24. Look at the paragraph beginning. Hungrily they ate their sweet potatoes. How do you know there was no wind? Provide evidence from the text. So you're going to have to find the paragraph that starts with hungrily they ate their sweet potatoes. You're going to have to tell me, how do we know there was no wind? If you see a question beginning with how do you know, you really do need to provide evidence from the text because that will show us how we know something. Pause the video here, find the answer, write it down, and then unpause when you are ready to mark. The air was hot and still. That tells me there was no wind. If the air is still, then that means there is no wind. And sorry, that is also evidence from the text as well as in a direct quote, so that's how I know. Okay, number 2. What did the children pass each morning as they fetched water for the day? So it's a literal question. So what question? So what did they pass, not who did they pass? What did they pass each day on page 20 as they went to get their water? Have a look at page 20, write down the answer, pause the video, write down the answer, and unpause when you're ready to reveal your work. Place of graves. That's what they passed each morning going to get their water. So well done. Number 3. How old are Naledi and Tiro on page 21? So look at page 21. Work out how old Naledi and Tiro are. This would be 2 marks. This would be 1 mark to work out Naledi's age, 1 mark to tell me Tiro's age. Pause the video and unpause when you're ready to reveal. Yep, Naledi is 13 and it says Tiro is 4 years younger, so that would make him 9. So well done if you were able to work that out. A little bit of a maths question for you. Number 4. Where did Naledi and Tiro stop to eat their food? On page 24. Here's page 24. It's a literal question here. Where did Naledi and Tiro stop to eat their food? So you're going to have to tell me a place. Pause the video, find the answer, off you go. Top of the long hill. Well done. That's where they stop to eat their sweet potato and drink their water. Number 5. How do you know that the coins were valuable to Naledi on page 20? In brackets I put evidence needed because how do you know question means you should give evidence. So pause the video here, have a look and see how do we know that the coins were valuable. She clutched tightly at the coins in her hand. Well done. That is a quote from the text to show me that Naledi found them valuable. How do I know question means you must use evidence. And number 6, why did Naledi and Tiro walk faster through the little town? So why question, what must you start your answer with if it's a why question? Yeah, exactly, you must start with because. So pause the video here and find out why did Naledi and Tiro walk faster through the little town? And it was because they did not want to be seen by the police. So we discussed that quite in detail this week. So well done if you got that. Tick or fix. So, and your extension, we've been working on summarising a lot as well in recent weeks, getting the main ideas down from an extract in just 3 sentences. Can you give me the 3, or can you give me the main idea of this paragraph, of this text in just 3 sentences? So that's your extension. You can pause the video here when you're ready to go and do that. I look forward to seeing all your work on Seesaw. I want to hear you reading, and I want to see all your work marked, whether it's right or wrong, with the right answer put in then so that you learn from your mistakes. So have a lovely Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow for the big question. Bye until then.